It was very similar. I don't remember really changing anything structurally because, as I've earlier narrated here, it all started on my Hollywood radio work for CBS in this town. So I just made a few minor nips and tucks and adjustments, and it wasn't, as I say, in formula, much different. And whatever changes were made were all part of evolution. For example, when they finally realized that we were getting so many laughs that it made sense to get me into a better studio, I think the next move was up to, is it 6B in the RCA building? I think it's where Johnny later did his show for years.
Milton Berle, I think. Was in there
yeah,
too.
a lot of the comedy shows, Milton and some of the others. It was a good house for comedy, as I recall. And then later we moved to an even better house, the Hudson Theater. And that opened up a lot of possibilities because when you're up on the 8th floor or the 6th floor, whatever it was, there isn't a heck of a lot you can do to get off the stage. You can go down the hall, as we sometimes did, which David Letterman would later do. But I always loved to have a street, an empty lot, something outside a building at my disposal. And that we did have at the Hudson Theater. So it opened up a lot of comedy possibilities. Well, I guess he was just looking at the show from time to time. I don't think for the first few months we were on there he even knew we were. It was not his business to check local stations. He was a network thinker and doer, and a very good one, too. But as it happened, he already had a big hit with the Today Show, which is still successful in the morning, of course. So inevitably, he or some member of the programming department would have thought, oh, how about a late show called The Tonight Show? It's just the opposite end of the calendar, the clock. So I don't think he had anything more than a title in mind, and eventually, I'll never know until he writes his memoirs what other possibilities might have occurred to him, but none of them ever saw the light of day because he just called us up one day, spoke to our producer, Bill Harback, said, I like that show that you guys are doing, and how would you all feel if we put it on the networks? And naturally, we were all overjoyed. And the only practical change that was made, the only important change, was it was no longer called The Steve Allen Show. Then we had to go with the title Tonight, and I was willing to do that. In fact, years later, the full title would be The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson. End of title. I never thought of that or didn't really give much of a damn if I had. Everybody knew who I was, and they knew it was with Johnny Carson or Donald Duck or Steve Allen or whoever was the host. But it was called Tonight. And only later did the phrase The Tonight Show come to pass.